It began with silence, not the kind that fills an arena before tip-off, but the heavy, suffocating kind that follows a detonation. The Indiana Fever had just pulled the trigger on a move no one in women's basketball saw coming. Stephanie White, the head coach entrusted with guiding a young and explosive roster, was out, dismissed without warning, without leaks, without whispers, and in her place stood none other than Larry Bird, a legend whose very name bends sports history. Fans didn't know whether to cheer, cry, or panic. What they did know was that everything had changed. The announcement struck like lightning, raw, merciless. One moment, the season was unfolding under the cautious, steady hand of White. The next, it felt like a storm had torn through the foundation of the franchise. Bird's arrival wasn't just a change in leadership. It was a jolt, a crack in the WNBA safe, a statement that the league, long criticized for playing things too conservatively, was now capable of audacity. For players, it was a blindside hit. For fans, disbelief in real time. At the epicenter of the chaos stood Caitlin Clark. Cameras caught her expression the moment the news broke. Wide eyes, frozen composure, and a shock she couldn't mask. She wasn't just a rookie thrown into turmoil. She was a gravitational force that may have created it. Her mere presence had already rewritten the franchise's trajectory. Now her reaction carried as much weight as the decision itself. The world didn't just watch the coaching change, it watched Clark. Silently absorbing the moment, her stunned stillness became the emotional compass for everyone witnessing the drama. Gamebridge Fieldhouse became ground zero for what felt like the biggest coup in WNBA history. Fans expecting lineup updates or injury reports suddenly found themselves in the heart of a seismic shift. Reporters scrambled. Cameras flickered. Social media detonated. Larry Bird, synonymous with Indiana basketball, was now at the helm of the Fever. Every second after the reveal felt surreal, a reminder that in sports, as in life, the unexpected doesn't just happen. It redefines everything. This wasn't merely about replacing a coach. It was legacy crashing headfirst into ambition. Stephanie White wasn't quietly moved aside. She was dismissed as a symbol of the old guard, the steady hand, the cautious protector. Bird's appointment wasn't about stability. It was about revolution. It told the basketball world that the WNBA was no longer content being underestimated. It was done asking for relevance. It was here to take it, violently, loudly, and without apology. And right at the center of that storm, holding the torch of destiny whether she wanted it or not, was Caitlin Clark. This was no polite reshuffling of chairs. It was a nuclear-level move, staged with the drama of theater and the ruthlessness of business. No breadcrumbs led to this moment. No backroom whispers hinted at it. It arrived all at once, unfiltered, electrifying. One moment, pundit debated season prospects. The next, every headline screamed the same name, Larry Bird. And delivering that name, with chilling composure, was Caitlin Clark herself. Standing at the podium, she faced a frenzied room and spoke with eerie clarity. Asterisk, the Indiana Fever has a new head coach. Asterisk, simple. Devastating. Those words rippled far beyond the walls of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. They detonated across headlines, flooded social media, and dominated global broadcasts. It wasn't just a message, it was a messenger. Clark, barely a rookie by the calendar, had become the vessel of a historic shift. The press conference transformed into a spectacle, a scene destined to be replayed for decades. Time seemed to freeze in that arena. Fans froze mid-cheer. Children stopped waving posters. Journalists stared blankly at their screens. The collective gasp felt heavier than any buzzer beater, more jarring than any upset. Questions flooded the silence. Was this real? Why now? And most hauntingly, what role did Caitlin Clark play? The answers didn't come. The Fever had taken what could have been a quiet internal decision and turned it into the most public spectacle imaginable. And Clark had been made the face of it, willingly or not. What followed was a ripple effect too powerful to contain. National broadcast cut to the scene. Analysts scrambled for takes. Fans spun theories, emotions ranging from outrage to awe. This wasn't just a coaching change. It was a storyline, a rebranding, a bombshell, engineered to ignite debate and redefine the expectations for an entire franchise. And at the eye of the storm stood Caitlin Clark, the rookie who had just introduced Larry Bird to the WNBA stage. Within minutes, hashtag began trending worldwide. Within hours, major sports networks made Indiana their lead story. Within days, the sports world turned its gaze toward the Fever. But this wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was about rewriting the rules, blurring boundaries, and challenging hierarchies. For the first time, a rookie stood at a podium not only representing her team, but reshaping its destiny. Clark wasn't just playing the game. She was bending it to her will. And with Larry Bird beside her, the Indiana Fever became more than a team. They became a revolution unfolding in real time. The ripple effects within the franchise were immediate. Power lines blurred. Clark was no longer just a player. She was a strategist, the architect, the beating heart of Indiana. No rookie in professional sports history had ever wielded this kind of influence. Announcing a legend as your head coach wasn't a promotion. It was a seismic event. Every decision, every highlight, every tactic now orbited around her. This wasn't just a team with a new coach. It was a team with a new order, and that order revolved around Caitlin Clark's gravitational pull. Fans began to see her differently. She wasn't just a scoring machine lighting up the stat sheet. She was a leader, a visionary re-engineering the foundation of the franchise. The lines between player and management began to dissolve. This wasn't the Indiana Fever of the past. This was Caitlin Clark's Fever. Her presence dictated the franchise's identity, its public image, its strategy, and its future. It was unprecedented. It was unsettling. It was electrifying. For the first time in WNBA history, one rookie shattered the hierarchy, not just altering her team's fate, but bending the direction of the entire league. Behind closed doors, questions simmered. How had this happened? What kind of conversations took place in private to clear the path for Bird's arrival? Was this the product of long, strategic planning, or a sudden, desperate pivot born of frustration? Analysts searched for answers and found only speculation. Yet one truth became impossible to deny. Clark's fingerprints were everywhere, whether or not she acknowledged them. This wasn't just about hiring a coach. It was about capturing a moment, seizing the cultural momentum of a rising star, and declaring that the WNBA was no longer playing defense. It was swinging for the fences. Clark wasn't just becoming part of history. She was making it. As the dust began to settle, the sports world struggled to categorize what had just happened. Was this brilliance or madness? Genius or desperation? What couldn't be debated was that something extraordinary had unfolded. Indiana's gamble had catapulted women's basketball into the global spotlight with an intensity it had never known. Living rooms buzzed. Group chats lit up. One question echoed everywhere. What does this mean for the NBA future? If Larry Bird could coach in the WNBA, what other walls might come crashing down? Championship dreams, global attention, limitless possibilities. The uncertainty only fueled the firestorm of speculation. Bird's arrival promised more than tactical shifts. It promised symbolism. His presence sent a message that women's basketball deserved the same strategic brilliance, the same legacy, and the same reverence as a men's game. Bird wasn't just a coach. He was basketball royalty. 3 NBA championships, 3 MVPs, 12 All-Star appearances, decades of front office experience. His name carried weight that few in the game could match. And now, for the first time, that name belonged to the WNBA. It was audacious. It was risky. It was historic. The Fever weren't just betting on success. They were betting on revolution, armed with a legend and a prodigy, side by side. For Clark, the shift was deeply personal. Her relationship with Stephanie White had been uneasy from the beginning. White's coaching style was rooted in control, measured, conservative, cautious. Clark, by contrast, thrived on risk, improvisation, and instinct. Every game made the tension clearer. Fans noticed the body language. Analysts dissected post-game interviews. Clark didn't hide her frustration. She spoke openly about being asked to slow down, to play safer, to be less than what she was. It wasn't just about strategy. It was about identity. And when brilliance is caged for too long, it breaks free. That breaking point had finally arrived. Stephanie White's departure wasn't about failure. She was a capable coach with a solid resume. But she wasn't the right coach for Caitlin Clark. The divide wasn't statistical. It was philosophical. White sought order. Clark embodied disruption. White prioritized safety. Clark lived for chaos. To contain Clark was to dim her brilliance. And brilliance, when stifled, eventually finds a way to burst through.